What did you find out about your friend's sex life that actually shocked you? Always bragged about how much sex he had. Would never shut the hell up about it. One of those guys. Super annoying. Plus this dude was not smooth with girls in any way whatsoever. Would always just nod and play along. Always thought he was full of shit. Then I found out he raped every single one of them. My best friend in high school came out of the closet to me. That wasn't really that shocking. What was shocking was finding out the jokes he made about my other best friend blowing him weren't actually jokes. That they didn't have a sex life. We are all in our late 20s and they got married last year. Around 2 months after the wedding I was joking about the lingerie set I bought her on her bachelorette trip and asked if she had worn it after the honeymoon. She looked at me straight and said no. I thought we were having a light-hearted conversation. Friends for 9 years, like we have always had, and was taken by surprise. She followed up with, "I'm married now, so I closed shop. He can have sex when I try for a baby, but once I have a kid it's over." They just had their first child this month. It's going to be a long 50 years for her husband. One of my best friends, who I thought was asexual since any talk of sex caused her to get grossed out, ended up becoming my twin brother's GF. Turns out she had just not met any guys that she felt comfortable with, and since we've been friends a couple of years she decided he'd be a good first. Then one night she drunkenly told me about how much sex they were having. And that was kinda weird for all parties, since my brother was also there. But hey, I'm happy they're both getting laid. My best friend uses blowjobs as bribery to an insane degree. I mean, I'm not above a little BJ bribery myself. But she uses it on her husband like several times a day. Wants coffee, but doesn't want to make it. BJ. Doesn't want to clean the dishes. BJ. It's her turn to walk the dogs. BJ. It's kind of hilarious. She's super lazy, but prefers giving him head to doing most chores and apparently it works for him too. She also doesn't want sex as often as he does. So she finds this keeps him happy and she doesn't feel the need to put out as much. All of which I find hilarious. That a friend has been married for 15 years and they've never actually had sex. Not one time. They've tried but not been successful. From the info I've gotten, I think has not hard enough. He won't see a doctor. They're both virgins. It's also sad. In spite of his wife being comfortable with having an open relationship, he proceeded to cheat on her multiple times before we all found out. Edit. Should clarify he refused to have an open relationship. People who cheat on their SOs are often very jealous and paranoid of their SO cheating on them. It's pretty hypocritical obviously, but some people are just shitty. When at an ANIN convention with a friend and his GF, I found out his GF shits when she orgasms. They have been together since HS, and every once in a while there would be an angry announcement to please not shit on the floor in the bathrooms. The pieces began to come together. In high school a classmate of mine was bragging one day about losing his virginity to a lady in our community who happened to be the mother to a girl a grade above us. We all called bullshit and asked why he'd make something like that up cause not only is it not believable it just wasn't even a funny lie. Fast forward 6 months and fellow classmate has to leave class on multiple occasions to go to court. Older lady was bragging to a co-worker about sleeping with said classmate and now older lady is a sex offender. I ducked your mom might be funny, but I ducked your kid is just downright illegal in it. He was into swords and getting cut and stuff. It all started on the day of his circumcision. One friend was all into gangbangs and orgies. Never took her as the type. My sister-in-law told me what she apparently calls my brother and their private time. Big Daddy Roo. Is your brother Scooby-Doo? Friend won't let me use his computer 20 years ago. He said he had things on there that would change how I thought about him. I stowed the thought aside. 12 years or so later, married with a young daughter, they threw his ass in prison for having some insanely large amount of child porn on his computer. He was part of some huge child porn ring. Evidently really young girls. she used to shit in her ex-husband. Kinda took me by surprise. I used to frequent Craigslist back before they banged anything even resembling a dating or hookup ad. I once placed an ad and got a response from a guy on my team at work asking if I wanted to duck his wife. As in bluntly asking, hey buddy, you wanna duck my wife? Your email address is stripped off when using their built-in email system, but the name on your email account comes through. The response was in this guy's name, which is unique, and he included a picture of his wife who I have met. The pic didn't show her face, but she has some visible tattoos, so there is zero doubt it was her. One of my former best friends and his fiancée had been together for nearly 5 years and due to be married in a few months when this happened. They were very open about their sex life, saying it was awesome and that they had their fun nearly every night. A few months before the wedding, she confided in me that they had actually never had sex before because he was scared. Apparently he had her act like they were having daily sex to make it seem like everything was normal. First couple years they tried and didn't get anywhere with sex. After that he just lost interest in her. Apparently the mental abuse in the relationship was pretty high too, which she completely hid from everyone to save his ass. This story is why this best friend is now a former best friend. A couple that I was friends with was into necrophilia play. He would make his wife take an ice cold shower, quickly dry off, and then she'd just lay there while he ducked her cold unmoving body. And they really liked it. Friend of mine didn't do foreplay at all and just threw it in there. Started having issues because his girlfriend didn't enjoy it and said it was painful, but he was baffled as to why. That they eat ass despite being a germaphobe. My best friend married his high school sweetheart. I knew they were both virgins when they got married. What I did not know, and only found out when they eventually got divorced, was that they only had sex about 20 times during their 10-year marriage. The wife evidently got zero enjoyment from sex and only did it when she wanted to get pregnant. They had 3 kids and all happened relatively easily / quickly. He was not allowed by her to masturbate or look at porn, although he did behind her back. This had nothing to do with religion or anything like that. Just how she personally viewed sex. My friend, who didn't really know any better, just assumed that's what marriage was supposed to be like. He's now remarried to an incredible woman who evidently loves sex and has been more than willing to make up for all the time my friend was in an essentially sexless relationship. I've never seen him so happy. That she had elaborate pirate roleplay sex. We were housemates in college and I heard way more than I beer gained for. Also the guy she had elaborate pirate roleplay sex with smelled bad and wore those shoes with the separate toes. A friend of mine thinks of me while having sex so they can keep going for much longer. I knew this guy, lived with a friend of mine. Then one day I saw him on the local news version of To Catch a Predator. I think he got sometime and might have been deported after that. That was quite a surprise. My wife had a female friend in high school that saved all the used condoms in a brown paper bag under her bed. And from what I heard, there were a lot of them. My friend was US Army / Special Forces / Green Beret and would go on regular shadow ducking dates. He would find people online, mostly on Craigslist, this was in the 2012, and set up random anonymous sex liaisons with people he had never met, spoken with, or had even seen. He would show up to an unlocked apartment or house, duck in the dark without ever seeing or speaking, and bail. One day we were playing Xbox. He got an email. Said don't unpause it. I gotta go duck real quick. He left, did the deed, and brought a 6-pack back all within an hour. Sat down and kept playing. This happened a few different times and I think about it often. That is, GF doesn't enjoy having sex with him, my best mate, unless she is really drunk. Never brought it up, but the implication is a bit rough. Edit, I don't mean this in any kind of rape way. It's all consensual, and they are a happy couple. My best friend never masturbated until I told him the experiences of the luxury. Then he actually did it, and he questioned his life. My friend only do anal because she's saving her virginity for her husband. She has about 5 BF up to this point. People who have been ducked in the ass are not virgins. Change my mind. A former friend of mine used to wipe her husband's, but after he'd been to the bathroom. Initially she'd do his washing, and he'd leave stains on his underwear. For her? I'm not sure, and that progressed to some humiliation and her checking him when he got home from work every day. She told me this when we were outside having a cigarette, and I then had to sit across from them both for the longest game of Monopoly. My best friend in college got in a pretty kinky sexual relationship with this dude for a while. Fe'd do BDSM type stuff, none of which is particularly shocking to me, but I remember visiting her apartment and seeing a spoon out randomly in her room and asked why it was there. She said she loved the taste of his cum so much he'd jerk off onto the spoon and feed it to her while she was tied up. I didn't think she'd ever really shock me, but that one took the cake. My so's boss husband would call up various guys, sometimes police officer friends, etc., to duck his wife at her work while she left the phone on speaker so he could hear. That's all he wanted, was to hear her moans, I guess. It was interesting realizing this otherwise seemingly normal husband and wife with children had this phone cuckold fetish. Well, the husband at least. My girlfriend in HS was friends with this girl who was super quiet and pretty nerdy, totally innocent in every sense of the word. When she was like 12 or so, her mom got remarried to this dude who had a son around her age. Well, at around 16 or so, my HS girlfriend finally got stoned/drunk with me one night and told me that this girl didn't want to lose her virginity, so her and her stepbrother had been doing anal regularly for months. All I remember was being like, the duck, and then going home and masturbating furiously to the idea of it. 2 of my friends used to date Anne due to Martinez and the idea. I now know exactly how big she is and how long she can hold her breath. One friend had sex with another friend. Because of her, people started calling him Anaconda Dick because his dick's CGI has aged surprisingly well and it once regurgitated Jon Voight. He slept with a clown. My roommate broke his bed one day after coming home with his girlfriend. Pretty ordinary so far. That happens, although already quite funny. Then I remembered that I helped him build his bed up when we moved in. Dude's bed has 2 slatted frames. How the hell did they break that? Was hanging out with my boyfriend and our friends, who are also a couple. We were having breakfast smoothies. They casually mention that they're going to an orgy in Brooklyn on Saturday and it's a really progressive orgy because all men need to be invited by a woman. In like, wow, that's a really interesting system. Internally in like, you guys go to orgies. Edit. I just wanna say that you guys are losing it over the word progressive, since apparently that's how all orgies are. This was like 6 months ago. I'm not quoting her adjective for adjective. That was just my takeaway about that rule she described to us. I've never been to a sex club, alright. After several years I found out that one of my female friends wore a strap-on and ducked her husband up her, but almost every time they had sex. I don't remember how the topic even came up, but apparently that was just how he liked it, and she was happy to oblige. He said that when he was 20 he did try it with another man, but didn't really find any enjoyment in it because he likes playing with tits while getting plowed, so he only likes it when it's coming from a woman wearing a strap-on. My friend had anal sex with her boyfriend for 5 years before having vaginal sex. She was too scared she would get pregnant. I have nothing against anal sex, but it totally shocked the hell out of me. I married at 19 and moves across the country. My best friend at the time of my wedding was still a virgin. 2 years later, during conversation on the phone, she tells me she took part in a sex train during a party and ended up ducking my married brother too. I don't judge her, but it did shock me because she was always very reserved through high school. That he was having sex with my fiancé. Found out half of my friend group were regularly having foursomes together and rudely not inviting the rest of us. This guy looked and acted like your typical alpha male, but was actually a virgin. I think because he was overly confident to the point of being a douchebag that turned women away. Best friend in HS was casually seeing this dude who was a senior our sophomore year. Well, he graduated and dumped her. Next year his brother started HS. She proceeded to date him. Took both of their virginities. Hey, thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe.